Welcome back to Cheche. Parliament has approved the motion creating the Joint Select Committee on IBC reforms. They have a tough job on their hands because the electoral clock is ticking. Is there enough time for the reforms ahead of next year's elections? Today's guests are Kakamega Senator Boni Hawale, he's on the Select Committee representing CORD, and John Waiganjo, the Oljero Rock MP, who's on the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee. And so before the break, we declared the truth, we ended the turf wars, but there are some practicalities to consider given the electoral calendar, but also the calendar, the timelines that you're on. Your committee is hearing a petition from someone in Bungoma against the IBC. What should take place in terms of a unified approach to this conundrum about the IBC?
That would be the best. In fact, if the Select Committee will liaise with the Departmental Committee, then the timelines we can handle that. But now, unfortunately, this Select Committee has only been given 30 days within which they must do work that ordinarily would be done in 6 months. You know? And secondly, if the Departmental Committee then is not stopped from considering the petition by Barasan Nkuri, and you know we already have timelines to consider that petition and dispense with it.
Then 14 days.
Yeah, 14 days, and we have already sought an extension. Then we are going to have a situation where the issue on the IEBC will be factors of issue, will be exhausted, and then the Select Committee will be left trying to do catch-up work. The 30 days they have been given, I don't know whether those are 30 sitting days or 30 calendar days, are hardly enough for them to do anything. So for me, I think...
Why is it not enough? Because, I mean, matters are in the public domain. There's a literature review, hearings here, meetings, so and so, and coming up with recommendations, some of which are already proposals in the Elections Act.
First of all, the Departmental Committee had already advertised that we were to move into 47 counties, listening to the views of...
Again, why would we need
One
to do
of
that?
the mandates that they have been given is to do the same. The Departmental Committee now already stopped doing that to await this selection panel. So I anticipate, and it is in their mandate, that they are free to listen to experts, to listen to all views, religious groups, and and you see within the 30 days, then there is an anticipation that there has to be bills, a draft bill or bills. And the issue of public participation, the issue of publishing those bills. I'm waiting to see. I'm waiting to see how much the Select Committee will.
Honorable, what I'm hearing from you is bordering on sulking that you should have been allowed to complete this work. May I remind you, it's over. When Parliament took a decision yesterday through the Senate, separately with the National Assembly, it's over. So now, submit your emotions to the fact that the process is going to be concluded through the Select Committee.
Well, I'm not, first of all, I have no emotion. But secondly, remember what I have said. Because the time is moving. We need new commissioners, if we must. The elections are in August. Both sides of the coalition are determined to do it in August. The CEO, IEBC, already is saying the earliest we can get commissioners is January. We have an election to do. We have an IEBC to reform. Other people are even talking about vetting the Secretariat or removing the Secretariat. Come on.
Wait for the recommendations of the committee.
If I may just jump in. Isn't that contradictory? Mheshimiwa Ganjo says that time is moving. We need to move fast. But if you follow your process of the bill you published to go around the 47 counties, that will be 2018.
We already saw that. And we are not what I'm saying now.
So, in fact, we must punish ourselves to do this within 30 days.
Exactly.
And I agree with the CEO that haste is important, so that we get over with it. Whichever method, shortcut, special circumstances call for special measures. And that's what we're doing.
Let's hear from you. What do you think?
My concern is just like his. Where is the time? You have to do many things within 30 days, including public participation. Where is the time to do that?
But which comes back again to his process. He pleads for time, yet the process he is suing for...
It is the law.
Yes.
It is the law. The law says you cannot remove the commissioners en masse. You must find fault with each one of them according to what the law says. That section.
Yes.
That
article.
So you must follow that law.
Yes.
When they finish their 30 days, they must make recommendations about removal.
Yes.
Now, the process of law then takes place. Where is the time?
I think you are jumping the gun.
How so?
Because we have...
The intention is to remove the commissioner.
You are jumping the gun.
Yes.
We have deliberately set 30 days, and both houses have approved that 30 days it is doable.
Yes.
At the end of the 30 days, you'll be justified to ask that question that I told you there's no time. We're going to finish. There is nothing special that we're going to do. All that we are looking for, as Makalia said it is already obvious. We are just going through the due process.
There's nothing obvious.
No, hold on. Senator, because what you then seem to be saying is that you have a predetermined outcome, and now what this committee is going to do is just look for ways to justify the predetermined outcome.
I really don't want to go into the allegations against IEBC, for example, but they are obvious allegations. So you will not be sending investigators to go and investigate those allegations, for example. We are only hearing the allegations and making a decision.
Now, whether those allegations should be investigated.
Yes.
Is that what you're doing?
But we're not investigating.
And then we come to the point that Mutegi raises.
Yes.
If you then decide that 965 commissioners need to be investigated, what then?
You set up the law.
You see, we already have reports, including reports of the EACC, reports of Parliament, on some of the, in fact, all of the allegations.
But we're not the tribunal. We are not the tribunal.
Against IEBC. For example, when you take the issue of corruption, the allegations are already documented. So it's just a question of lifting them where they are and making them part of the report. When you look at how procurement was done for PVR, it is nothing you're investigating. The decision has already been discussed, investigated. So it's a question of just collecting what is obvious.
What are you saying? What are you saying? Are you saying you're turning yourself into a tribunal to investigate the 9 commissioners?
That's why I'm saying.
Are you saying you are the tribunal?
That's why I told you we are inquiring into it. We are not investigating.
The mandate of the select committee, if I understand it well, is to look into all the matters around IBC,
yes,
the allegations against the commissioners,
yes,
and the environment for elections, including legal reform required to make the elections smooth and flawless. It does not constitute holding a tribunal on the whatever. It may make recommendations for investigations.
Yes.
The process of the tribunals is being pursued through the petition which has been filed.
Yes.
Its determination, its end result is unknown. It could end up being adopted by the parliamentary, the departmental committee, and then therefore Parliament itself in its plenary adopting recommendations to make to the President to constitute tribunals. Or it may reject that petition as baseless and it might end there. Okay? This committee has got other recommendations it needs to make with regard to the electoral process. And IBC's reconstitutional management of policy issues and how it will function are only part of the things they'll recommend and therefore put into bills which will come before the House to
I have listened to the Honorable Harwade very carefully, and he says that most of these things are there, the reports are there. There's a PAC report which is there, and it's not even conclusive because it's not even come to the floor of the House. You see the EACC report is there, and you see the due process requires that even those commissioners, they are people and they have rights, and they must be subject to that due process so that they will also come and have their say. And therefore, the issue of time is really an issue that the select committee must consider, and people must also start getting used to this idea that if the commissioners are going home, then we are not having elections in August.
No.
And that is, and I will say that, and I will say that categorically because I know for a fact, the draft bills that you are supposed to come up with as a select committee, those that are with the departmental committee that are still awaiting to go to the House and to be passed, the recruitment of new commissioners. We still do not know whether these commissioners will wait for the tribunal, and we cannot start speculating that they could resign because some of them feel they can't resign. Some people are saying resign, we pay you, others are saying we won't pay, instead you'll be investigated. So let's not take this thing rightly, and don't say that I'm sacking. I'm not sacking. In fact, the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee is an existing committee, and we would really pretty appreciate help from your select committee. The only problem with your select committee. It's the manner of its formulation. It has come across not as a product of the House. It has come as a product negotiated outside the House by the people, by the coalition, brought into the House, and I dare say, forced on the House to come and do and duplicate what is already being done by a departmental committee to quell and stop the demonstrations.
So there's a problem of
it
really sounds as if there's a problem of legitimacy, you think, when it comes to the select committee. But we seem to be coming back to an issue that I thought we had already addressed. Tough wars.
Yes. That's what it is.
You say that you're not sulking, but it does sound as if there's sour grapes about the creation of this select committee. And so if we're to move the country ahead, beyond this conversation about how they were created, the mandate, the practical consideration is the timing. And can they get what they were supposed to do done in time for elections in August? You say that's impossible. Why is it impossible? How can we make it possible? Let's make this a constructive conversation.
To that, how is there a better option to that?
Well, first of all, the two committees, the departmental committee and the select committee that has now been formed, must have a point of convergence.
Okay.
So that if it is legal reforms, we need now to share what we have. For example, the Elections Amendment Bill 2015, it shouldn't come this afternoon for debate. It has been debated halfway, but it should be moved out of the order paper to allow them also to have a look and maybe also to collect the views from the experts and enlist it. That way now we will move seamlessly. But if we
what else?
The petition that we are hearing, they should either come to the departmental committee as threads of the committee or as people doing the same thing, have us consider this petition, all of us, and then so that whatever determination that comes from that petition, they will also own it. Okay. So that on the issue of removal, it will not be there is a select committee, there is a departmental committee. It will be that we are one seamless.
Okay. So 3 points here then that we have taken from this conversation. One, that there needs to be communication to your committee about what's taking place within the select committee. And then 2, you just talked about convergence on the various pieces of legislation surrounding elections and what happens with those. And then 3, this petition that's with your departmental committee. Now we come to the time. Yes, Mutegi?
But your committee, you have sent code of ODM as a control. So it remains illegitimate then. In terms of membership?
Not at all. The committees of parliament operate on quorum, not on...
and so without the court participation, you still have quorum?
We still go on.
You're the one who's talking about the moral... You're the one who's talking about the matter being challenged in court. Whereas decisions are made on quorum, but the composition of committees is also defined in the standing orders.
Yes, it is.
That so many members will come from both sides.
Yeah.
So somebody choosing a way of going to court will easily win because he'll say the committee was not there because the opposition had withdrawn its membership. So the committee was not there. Even if you had a quorum, you had a quorum of a committee which was not there.
Remember when I say that CORD has decreased its membership from the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, we are not saying that the opposition is not there. We have members from the opposition in the committee who have not been de-whipped. And they're there, and they come, and we sit. Okay, so when we say CORD has removed its membership, it has not removed, not all members that has moved. Okay. We have members in the committee.
A member of CORD.
We have
don't bother about it. We know them.
Yes.
A member of CORD who sits on that committee is now sitting on that committee as a friend of the committee, but not as a member of the committee. All committees, any member can sit on it. The moment the leadership of CORD withdrew those members, even if any one of them goes there, he cannot vote.
Yeah, but I want to tell you, Bonnie, and you know, you You are a more experienced member than I am. I'm first-time member of parliament, but I know my standing orders. And I know that a committee of parliament requires a quorum for it to operate, and you know that.
If the committee exists, but in this case, the committee does not exist.
It exists.
Because the opposition has withdrawn all its members. Go and read. Go and read how a committee of legal affairs is formed. It is formed by the leader of the majority recommending members to the House Business Committee, and the leader of the minority recommending members. Then once those members are recommended, you have now considered a committee, and then it starts making decisions on quorum. The moment they are withdrawn, it means the committee has collapsed. Let me remind you.
I'll ask you not to
let me remind you.
The viewers
when Ababu,
by that statement.
When Honorable Ababu was the chair of the same committee in the last parliament, the same problem arose. And that committee never transacted business for 9 months or so. So whatever you will attempt to do now will not be business, because you are not a committee.
Ababu is
I'm keen to just in terms of I have not got Mheshimiwa Iganjo's projection forward using the methods he's using, because he said once we begin doing all manner of things, then it means we can't have elections on 8th of whatever.
And so
I would like to hear from him as he sits in that JLAC what they are thinking going forward, knowing elections are August next year, and how your processes are going to achieve that.
But first of all, there has also been a lot of trajectories. You know, I mean, a section of Kenyans have already expressed doubt on the credibility of the IEBC, and we have said that the IEBC then therefore must be looked into with a view of either reconstituting it, depending on how we consider this petition and finalize the petition, because we do not have any two ways to go about the petition or the removal of the IEBC. So the petition must mature, and then we will make a recommendation depending on the findings of the committee, and then we do not have the final word. In fact, we are not considered. We are not even taking evidence. We just and we are not even cross-examining them. Then we will draw it with a report to the House. Then the House will consider it, and if they consider that they need to tell the president to form a tribunal, then he will form a tribunal. Then we will have 9 tribunals, because there are 9 commissioners. Then the tribunal has its own timelines. Then the commissioners will bring their lawyers. They will be heard. Then eventually, if they'll be removed, they'll be removed. Then still, we have not even made a law on how we will replace them as we are talking. So that is work in progress.
The law to replace them is being made within these 30 days.
Yes.
Well,
so
that is not that's why we are working.
Let him go to the end, because
that is why we need to be seamless. Then we start the recruitment of the commissioners. Now tell me, and we are going for elections in August. I tell you, we won't. It's impractical. And people,
you are building a narrative
in August.
Honorable, you are building a narrative deliberately to scaremonger the public that look, if you go this route, then the elections will be delayed, and you know that Kenyans want the elections on time. Our position in court is as follows: that the only way we can change the election date is if the elections are going to come earlier. So we're very clear.
So if we say that
no, we're going round and round in circles.
If he says the elections cannot be held, August that time, what option is there? And you know that the election date cannot be moved forward.
There is a select committee,
except through a referendum.
Yes.
So what is your? That's why I wanted to hear the end game of your method through JLAC and where it takes us.
First of all, JLAC has no intention of extending the elections or of moving the elections. Secondly, personally, I also want the elections in August. What I'm doing now, I'm being very practical. It's good to be practical.
Yeah.
I've already taken you through.
Yes.
What would happen? We have a petition.
That is why
the petition has to mature and go on. Even you, while seated here.
That's why special circumstances require special measures, and that's why special measures are being vehicles are being.
Now let me tell you about special circumstances and special measures. We have a constitution, and we have Article 251.
Yes.
On the removal, there cannot be a way outside the Article 251.
There is. The same constitution gives the other way of doing what 251 is supposed to do.
Which is
that members of the public can take over the role of parliament, because whatever you are doing is actually donated by the voters.
That's your view.
Okay. So let me come to the panelists now, because it seems that we are coming back on ourselves. We think that there is progress, but there isn't quite any progress. We talked about turf wars, we've talked about emotions, and we talked about convergence, how we move this thing forward. So even if your personal view is that it is impractical to hold elections in August, that is what our leaders are working towards with this negotiated settlement. Okay? And we talked about how to achieve that practically. Now, panelists, right? We've heard minority view expressed about the impracticality of having those elections in August. Do you think that if, you know, as David and Senator Hawale have suggested, that if we work flat out, if the committee and everybody, you know, maintains the same momentum and unanimity of purpose, that we can have elections in August?
If we have to remove the commissioners, leave alone the staff, and we have that process of, unless this committee constitutes itself to a tribunal to try all of them, if we have to do that, those tribunals, and then set up the route how to appoint the other one, it may not be possible, according to me. It may not be.
David?
It's lengthy.
It's lengthy.
It's a lengthy process.
Is it impossible to have a dual track, triple track process where you know, people are appealing, you know, whatever allegations have been leveled against them, and others are coming in?
Well, first of all, I think that it is possible to have...
in your special position as a consultant to the IBC.
It is a very technical position, I must admit. But let me volunteer my views. I think that it's possible that... I do not know about the fate of the petition, whether it will succeed or not. Speaking out...
This is the petition with
Assume it's going to succeed.
If we assume it will succeed, it will take some time to go through the motions of setting up tribunals and I don't know the timelines allowed. I think it's 90 days. President has to set up a tribunal after recommendation from Parliament, and that is running into the end of the year and so forth. It will be impossible to get commissioners in good time to hold the next elections. But there is a window, because under the same constitution, I think under, you know, the article for I think it's 251 or is it 254, the provision the president may suspend such commissioners if they're under tribunal. Meaning, if you're under suspension, the mechanisms which are being created through the recommendations which may come for reconstituting the IBC or the mode of appointing commissioners, because they must, because the last system of appointing has been overtaken by certain considerations and replacements. So a new panel has to be set up, a new one has to be reconstituted. It may still be possible, therefore, to have other commissioners in place if the others are under tribunals being investigated. Whatever becomes of the findings of those tribunals will be subject of consideration for remedial action as by law provided, meaning a new commission can still be in place to sit and carry out the next election even before that January.
That motion has been so well thought out. When they say we provide for legal reforms, some of those reforms can include what Makali has told you, that while these people are being investigated, the reform now provides that the new team will be in place and conducting elections. It is very well thought out, the motion.
So what about this argument, and I think it was made this week by both the IEBC CEO and the opposition leader, Martha Karua, that the commission is not the commissioners, that you have a secretariat in place, and so the work carries on. And so even if you know, tribunals are ongoing against specific individuals, the technical work continues, and so therefore you can be on track to have elections. Does that hold any water for you?
It does. The other thing is that there is also the view that the secretariat and all the heads of departments must be vetted. So that's there. And even the motion that came talks about the possible removal of the commissioners and the secretariat. So it's practical what you say, that if the secretariat, for instance, because that's the region, if it was to continue working, you know, making procurements and all those things, then we would still be in a good process. But when now we say that all heads of departments, and even some people are also suggesting that we go down even to the returning officers and presiding officers, because it said that they were the most culpable. Then that's where we get muddled into.
Why don't you let the select committee make that decision? Because I'm afraid we are now, through this conversation, misleading the public that the motion said that the secretariat should be removed. It did not.
No, it did.
What the motion said, I beg your pardon, is that you inquire into allegations against both the commissioners and the secretariat. So the select committee may very well, through that inquiry and not through investigation, the difference is there, may very well say that the allegations against the secretariat do not hold water.
Well, no. You haven't heard of them.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Why don't you wait?
You're not doing the same for commissioners.
That is the probability. And by the way, such inquiry does not imply work stops.
No.
I mean, if we call you and you work at the secretary and you're a director for something, and we inquire into allegations have been made about your conduct or performance, it does not mean the grinding meal of the commission stops. And a lot of work is going on at the commission on schedule for the elections, except that there's anxiety because of this, queries about the commission status and reform and the constitution. A bit of that which needs to be sorted out quickly so that the work can continue if elections are to be held on schedule. And the two, I do not know how far external, interest or intrusion can be allowed into an institution such as IBC, which is supposed to be independent and which has methods of employing people, and people are hired on terms and whatnot. You cannot have the select committee coming to do some things. I suspect they'll be blocked because people have employment contracts and they're employed by the commission. So if any inquiry is going to be done, I suggest members work with the commissioners, which is the political and policy level, because the commissioners are the ones who effectively hire the staff. If you're going to have external interference in the executive, in the secretariat, I think that's just too meddlesome.
Actually, the vetting should be done by the commissioners. And you know the vetting should be done by the commissioners. And the commissioners are on the exit. So it's other commissioners to come.
Who will come?
And
who will do that? If indeed there will be such an inquiry.
Let's revisit this after the break, because of course, that also portends that, these commissioners might oversee the election, and then, new commissioners then have to hear election petitions arising from the 2017 election. So let's come back to that. This is Cheche. We're live on Citizen TV. Parliament has approved the Joint Select Committee on the IEBC. What do you think? Is there enough time to implement electoral reforms before next year? Our SMS number is 22422, or you can tweet us using the hashtag Cheche.